We move in to our Mariners side of things as spring training continues to roll on. This is supposed to be an exciting week for the younger development of some of the Mariners, as the breakout game between MLB breakout was going to be a bunch of the spring breakout, pardon me, was supposed to be between all of the best prospects in each team's respective system. That game got rained out, which was really unfortunate because it was going to be really fun to watch all of the young, exciting players in the farm system go head-to-head with those of the San Diego Padres. So aside of that, we look in here to the past week of games for the Mariners, and every time, we have to look at the past week of games for spring training, I have to talk about the fact that, we're not necessarily looking at the results, but there's a lot more wins here for the Mariners, so I guess you can take a victory in that. March 11th versus those San Diego Padres at the Peoria Sports Complex. The Mariners lost that one by a score of 3-13. Our player of the game, shortstop J.P. Crawford. J.P. 1 hit, 1 run, 2 RBIs, and a homer in this one. On March 12th at the Oakland Athletics, a 2-4 loss. Our player of the game, shortstop Dylan Moore, Demo, 2 hits, 1 RBI. Playing against the LA Dodgers, who are largely picked to be the upcoming World Series favorites. With them bringing in Shohei Ohtani, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The Mariners won that one by a score of 8-1. The Dodgers, again, it's preseason. It's preseason, spring training. There isn't a lot of stock you take in the results, but an 8-1 win over a team that's favored to win the World Series, it's nice, it's cool. Our player of the game in that one, designated hitter Mitch Garver. Mitch continues to mash, 2 hits, 1 run, and 2 RBI for the team's day-to-day DH on March 14th versus the Milwaukee Brewers, a 4-2 win. Our player of the game, another Mitch on the Mariners, who also played DH on this day, Mitch Haniger. Mitch, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 RBI, and 1 homer in this one. March 15th, the same day that the spring breakout game was going to take place at the LA Angels, was rained out. So that was unfortunate. So much for Arizona, Phoenix Valley weather. Shame. March 16th, the Mariners had a split squad contest at the Cincinnati Reds and versus the Chicago White Sox at home. They would win both of them. At the Reds, an 11-7 win. Our player of the game, right fielder Alberto Rodriguez, the young prospect, 1 hit, 1 run, 3 RBIs, and 1 walk on the day for Alberto versus the White Sox, an 8-2 win. Our player of the game, left fielder Dom Canzone. Canzone, 2 hits, 1 run, 2 RBIs, and 1 homer. So we look up at this. As I've talked about, with spring training, we're looking at some of the individual efforts. It's always nice, you look at here, you see guys like J.P. Crawford, Mitch Haniger, Mitch Garver, contributing, guys who are established veterans. That's great to see. You really want that consistency offensively. That's something that the Mariners have talked about all through the offseason here and through spring training. They want to be consistent on offense to help out that amazing pitching staff, and you need that to carry over into the regular season, obviously. But what I enjoy a little bit as well with spring training, there's 2 sides of it. You want to see the vets do their job. You want to see them perform, shout a little, get people excited for the upcoming regular season. But then you want to watch some of the younger guys, and that could be some of the younger guys that are going to be on the big league level and some of the younger guys in terms of the prospects. And we would have seen the prospects a lot more with the spring breakout, but thanks to the rain, we have to wait. I believe that could push back to next week. We'll look into that. But Alberto Rodriguez, a guy that we saw at the Everett Aqua Sox level, seeing him perform well is nice. And then Dom Canzone, both of those guys performing on the March 16th day when the Mariners had the split squad. Dom Canzone has added some weight. He's added some muscle this offseason and has been hitting the ball well. I was really excited for Canzone after the Paul Sewald trade. There's some holes in his swing. He swings at a lot, which is something to improve upon, especially with the emphasis from the front office to cut down on the strikeouts. This past year, getting rid of guys like Eugenio Suarez, Teoscar Hernandez, Jared Kelenic, I get it. I really do. But Canzone looks strong in spring training, so I'm really excited to see if maybe he's able to solidify that left field position, with Canzone in left, Julio in center, and Mitch in right field. I know there's some concern with Mitch Haniger and his injury history, and he's going to play as many games in right field as they want him to, but I mean, if you can look at most of the season, that outfield being Canzone, Julio, Mitch, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. And then you get a guy like Luke Raley, who hit the ball really well last year, had a career year, to come in to contribute when, you know, the corner outfielders need a day off. I'm not mad at it. Or, you know, you look at the respective splits here and there, all of that. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. So we'll see how that goes. We do have some injury updates for you. Some of them not so great, some of them better as we get through spring training. That's been a big aspect of this year's spring training, you know, with some of the relievers dealing with stuff and, you know, the occasional bumps and bruises here and there. So we'll look at that. Relief pitcher Gregory Santos is still rehabbing and resting after an incident on Monday and had not been cleared to start throwing yet. Back on Monday, he did suffer a mild lat strain, and was set down for a few days and is not going to be ready for opening day. An MRI would later reveal inflammation in the lat, but no structural damage, which is a good sign. He wasn't originally slated to be ready by opening day per Scott Service, as everything would have had to gone perfectly. But this all but essentially makes it official. So not great to not have him by opening day, but if you're able to mitigate any sort of long-term injury, shut him down, keep him strong, I'd rather have him for the rest of the regular season than just opening day. Relief pitcher Ryan Stanek, that the team signed last week, will throw in a Cactus League game this upcoming week. Catcher Cal Raleigh was a scratch from the lineup back on March 16th due to a bruised heel as a precautionary decision. He would have played in the regular season, but Mariners, being cautious, kept him out of that game on the 16th. And then lastly, relief pitcher Matt Brash threw long toss to 110 feet at maximum effort. If he comes out of that okay, he will then throw off the mound this upcoming week. We do throw it immediately to some team-related news on March 14th amongst a couple different roster-related moves. Mauricio Llovera cleared waivers from the team and was outrighted directly to AAA Tacoma. His velocity had been down 2 to 4 miles per hour this spring. He was acquired this offseason from the Boston Red Sox, so the team, you know, he could be one of those pieces, you know, like there were a few guys who didn't start the year on the opening day roster, like Taylor Saucedo, like Justin Topa. So maybe he ends up like that, starting in AAA, finding himself. I mean, even a few years ago, Paul Sewald had to come up from AAA Tacoma. So obviously there's some concern with his velocity being down, so hopefully he's able to figure that out, get that sorted out. And I know he's got some solid stuff, but if you're not able to figure out velocity, it won't necessarily play as well at the big league level. So Llovera down to the Rainiers. Same day on the 14th, 5 players were reassigned to minor league camp. Left-handed pitcher Kirby Snead, another reliever that the Mariners acquired this offseason. Catcher Harry Ford, infielder Tyler Locklear, infielder Cole Tucker, and infielder Cole Young. So a bad day to be a minor leaguer named Cole, as you got sent back to minor league camp. And those last 4 really don't surprise me that much. I mean, those are all guys that will play an impact in the Mariners' future, but they are not ready to be at the opening at the major league level right now, and that's not really a surprise to anybody. But it'll be fun to see those guys continue to play out through the minor league season, see where they end up amongst the farm, and to watch them play out their respective year. Who knows? Maybe one of them rockets up and does get called up this year. So on the 15th, relief pitcher Nathaniel Garabitos was named as the player to be named later in the trade with the Kansas City Royals. That net the Mariners infielder/outfielder Samad Taylor back in January. So it's always interesting to see when there's the player to be named later who it ends up being. Garabitos ends up going to the Royals in that trade. He'd shown some good stuff with the Modesto Nuts, some nice velocity, and some big moments in their playoff run for the Cal League, but he ends up going to the Royals in that trade, so best of luck to him. We look over now to the upcoming week in spring training games as things continue to tick away and we continue to tick closer to opening day on March 28th versus the Boston Red Sox. We're 10 days away from opening day by the time that you're watching this. That is pretty crazy to think about. So We'll look at these games for you. March 18th at the Texas Rangers is a 1:05 p.m. Pacific time start, as the Mariners have a spring training record of 9-12 and one tie on the year. March 19th versus the Colorado Rockies at home is a 1:10 p.m. Pacific time start. March 21st versus the Cincinnati Reds, getting a rematch with them after their game this past week. As I'm going to try to pull up the TV schedule for the Mariners here, is a 6:40 start. So all of those that you've noticed for the past few weeks and most of this week are all 1:10 or 1:05 starts. Not that game against the Reds. That's a 6:40 start on the 21st. March 22nd is a split squad day versus the Milwaukee Brewers at Peoria at 1:10, and then on the road at the Arizona Diamondbacks at 1:10. It's the second time that the Mariners will play the Diamondbacks this spring training after the March 17th game on Sunday, as they'll see Eugenio Suarez and Paul Sewald again, potentially. There's no guarantee that those guys who will likely be starters for the Diamondbacks will play. That's a 1:10 game. March 23rd at the Chicago White Sox is a 1:05 game. And then on the 24th, to wrap things up, they play the other Chicago team. You might get mad at me depending on which team you're a fan of from Chicago, versus the Chicago Cubs. It's a 1:10 start. That game will be the one that is shown at the opening week warm-up at T-Mobile Park. So there's that. Let's see, over the upcoming weeks, March 24th versus the Cubs, that's going to be on Root Sports. That's the only game this upcoming week that will be on Root Sports. Yikes. Let's see. We'll get back to that opening week warm-up. We talked about it when it was announced earlier, but just a few things here. Gates open at 11 a.m. for season ticket holders if you're going to the opening week warm-up at 11 a.m. and then 12 p.m. for all fans. The event does conclude at 4 p.m. Tickets are $10 free for kids 14 and under. For every one purchased ticket, you can add 4 free kids tickets, so you can really bring the kids out there, really encouraging that. That's Sunday, March 24th at T-Mobile Park. Parking at the Mariners Garage while space lasts is $10. As I mentioned, 11 a.m. season ticket member gates and 12 p.m. for all fans. They'll have the spring training game versus the Cubs on the big screen. First pitch at 1:10, as mentioned. They'll have autograph sessions, photo ops, and meet and greets with Mariners legends and Mariners future. Edgar Martinez, Felix Hernandez, Ryan Roland-Smith, Charlie Furbush will all be there that are former Mariners. You look at some of the young guys, we talked about some of them. Cole Young, Harry Ford, Colt Emerson, Lazaro Montes will all be there. You can pitch in the bullpen, run the bases, sit in the dugout. They'll take you through the clubhouse, the Muckleshoot interview room, some of the premium spaces like the Diamond Club and such. They'll have the value menu available for the first time this 2024 year and the new beer lineup. And then you can see some of the gear for this upcoming season. So there is that. That will wrap us up with the Mariners side of things.